Thanks for tuning in to the Vintage Cinema Review. On today's show, we're covering from 1985, Back to the Future.
All right, Michael J. Fox in this one. Anything with Michael J. Fox in the 80s. Classic.
I'm looking forward to Gigawatts.
For sure. Zap's back in for this one. We appreciate that. If you guys haven't, please go ahead and subscribe to the show. Please don't forget to rate us on Spotify, Apple, Google, however you're doing that, and we'd appreciate it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy Back to the Future from 1985.
Hey, this is Matt.
And this is Dave,
And welcome to Vintage Cinema Review.
where every week we review some of our favorite films from the past.
Hey, there ain't no late fees here. We're heading down the basement here. We got it's Zap again. Dude, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, man?
Hey, I expected to see Dave down here, but yeah, what's going on, man?
What's up, fellas? Yeah, I'm down here too.
Oh, okay, cool. Well,
Zap's back in the basement.
you guys beat me down here.
Yeah. Got a really good one. I mean, this one's very, very popular. I would hope. I mean, it better be. So from 1985, Back to the Future.
It's a cool movie.
Oh, it's great.
What do you think, Zap?
Never heard of it.
Never heard it, never saw it.
No. Back to the word.
I think
Yeah.
it was in theaters at one time in 1985.
Yeah, I think it had a short run, but
But then I put it in refrigerator and sent it back to 76 and then watched it and put it, never mind.
yeah, Back to the Future, 1985, rated PG. Great movie. I mean, this is definitely one of my favorites, up there for sure. A release date on this, July 3rd, 1985, and runtime was 116 minutes. So I saw this at the theater, and
I saw this at a theater also.
Yeah, I vividly remember. My grandmother took me, actually, and she liked it as well. She was up in age at the time, but she enjoyed it.
How about you, Zap?
So we're talking about Back to the Future. I mean, everybody in the known universe has seen this movie, and if you haven't, you got to get out from that rock. This is just an incredible movie, absolutely incredible. This is this defined so many of our childhoods. This was everything. This introduced us to DeLoreans. This introduced us to what I believe is the true concept of time travel.
Like at that time, we were figuring like everybody wanted one of those. It seemed like an incredible car that you could not, I mean, you can get one now for like $20,000 if that.
Yeah, there's a company that builds them and actually put a flex capacitor. It's not, obviously doesn't work, but they put one in.
Thanks.
You know what I mean? With leftover parts and stuff, you can buy one.
I saw the actual Back to the Future DeLorean at the car show in Harrisburg.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
I know a guy that we're actually mutual friends with, I don't know if Zap knows the guy or not, but he was actually looking to buy a DeLorean. I remember back in the day. Like this guy loves Back to the Future, and he was all about it. And I remember he was looking to buy one. This is like maybe 20 years ago. But let's go through the cast and the budget real quick, and then we'll get into all the cool facts and all their favorite parts. Yeah. So we have obviously Michael J. Fox as Marty McFly, Christopher Lloyd as Emmett Doc Brown, Leah Thompson as Lorraine Baines McFly, Crispin Glover as George McFly, and Thomas F. Wilson as Biff Tannen. So that's basically your core of the main people in the movie.
James Tolkien as Mr. Strickland.
Yeah,
he
James
pops up
Tolkien.
a couple times in later ones.
Yeah, we have James Tolkien, like you said. J.J. Cohen as Skinhead. I didn't know that was that guy's name. That's one of the three
Who
guys.
was that?
It's one of the three guys, like Billy Zane and the other guy.
Yeah, Billy Zane, that was his first role.
No, so Billy Zane was Match. That was his name. And then Casey Simasco. I know this guy. Casey Simasco was 3D. He was the guy with the 3D glasses. Yeah, I think he was in 3 O'Clock High. Casey Simasco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know Billy Zane, this was the first movie he was in.
Harry Waters Jr. as Marvin Berry, Donald Fullglove as Mayor Goldie Wilson.
Mayor Goldie Wilson, yeah.
And Lisa Freeman as Babs. Director on this was Robert Zemeckis, and writer was Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale.
Let's see, director.
Director was Robert Zemeckis. Yeah.
I thought it was Steven Spielberg.
I think it was it produced by Steven Spielberg?
Presented by filmmaking legend, directed by Oscar winner. Yeah. So what is presented by filmmaking legend? What do you mean Steven Spielberg presented this?
I don't know. I thought the movie theaters presented them.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't know why Spielberg got to get his hands in everything.
Yeah, so I guess Steven Spielberg was executive producer of all three of the Back to the Futures. But so budget on this was $19 million and box office was $388.8 million. So Zap, you're a numbers guy. That's pretty good, right?
Yeah, we would say in the business the juice was worth the squeeze.
Is that how it goes? Yeah.
For sure.
Right. So it looks like they made some money on this, and I'm not shocked. So, Matt, looks like you have a synopsis.
Yeah, I have a brief synopsis of the movie for Back to the Future.
I'll tell you what, Matt, I'll do the synopsis this time. What do you think?
Yes, that sounds cool.
All right.
Go for it.
One of the top grossing box office comedies of all time, Steven Spielberg presents an irresistible comic fantasy that accelerates beyond the time barrier with wit, imagination, and infectious, wide-eyed wonder. Michael J. Fox stars as Marty McFly, a typical American teenager of the 80s, accidentally sent back to 1955 in a plutonium-powered DeLorean, invented by slightly mad scientist Christopher Lloyd. During his often hysterical, always amazing trip back in time, Marty must make certain his teenage parents-to-be meet and fall in love, so he can get back to the future. Directed by Robert Zemeckis, this delightful comedy adventure will make everyone want to get back to the future over and over again. Back to the Future, 1985.
Well, that was incredible. That was a great synopsis.
Yeah, right. So, Back to the Future, 1985. I mean, like I said, I remember seeing this at the theater vividly and was blown away the first time. And it's a movie that I can watch over and over again. I mean, it just never gets old to me. No matter what part I turn it on at, it's just such an easy watch. So, what do you guys got?
Back to the Future.
Yeah.
So just like any other kid out there, we all can certainly agree that,
We wanted to go back in time.
well, yeah, again, this came out during our formative years, and you see something like this, and it's just, again, just an absolute mind scrambler to believe that something like this could,
Be feasible.
be even remotely feasible, which it's obviously not, or is it?
Right. Maybe it is, yeah.
Who's to say?
This is an Oscar-winning movie. If you guys did you know that?
I did not know that.
It won the Oscar for sound effects editing.
Oh, okay.
Hmm.
Never would have got. I mean,
No.
I figured it'd probably be up for awards, but I didn't know for sure. I mean, to me, like I said, for me, it was just like a great movie back then and even now. Like it holds up. I just think it was great. But like Zap said, the whole aspect of time travel, and I think that's even like a possibility. I mean, I think that's why it was so appealing.
This film made you believe that time travel is possible.
Right.
It really did. And it made every kid believe that if you get your hands on a DeLorean, you'll be able to travel in time. All you got to do is find yourself a flux capacitor.
And a DeLorean. And you're
well,
golden.
And a DeLorean.
No. And I'd always thought back then, like, as DeLoreans is fast, probably they're fast cars and like sport, but they were super slow.
It's a 4-cylinder.
Like, yeah.
I didn't know what a DeLorean was until I had seen Back to the Future.
Yeah.
And in later years, I've been in DeLoreans. I've driven a DeLorean.
Oh,
wow.
cool.
They suck. At least the original ones.
They're American made, aren't they?
No, so originally,
DeLorean,
if I understand correctly, so John DeLorean took some money and went over to Ireland and opened up the old factory over there. Cheaper labor, no unions, people wanted to work. Hey, I'll do it over there. It makes sense.
Yes.
Surprised they didn't run on beer, or like alcohol.
They did.
Oh, no way.
They did after you get Mr. Fusion.
Oh, that's right. You're right.
After you
Yeah,
get
you
Mr.
poured
Fusion,
some Miller Lite in there.
Miller High Life.
Oh.
You dump in the Miller High Life into the back of a Mr. Fusion
And some trash.
and a banana peel. All of a sudden, you can get that sucker. No, I'm sorry. You can operate the time circuits.
Yeah.
Time circuit continuum.
The thing still operates, I think, on petroleum distillate.
Talking about Ireland, do you guys watch Family Guy? You ever watch that show?
Never heard of
Like, it's like animated. It's funny.
it. Giggity.
Oh, see, he did watch it. Did you ever see the episode where they fly to Ireland and when the plane lands, there's like beer bottles and stuff?
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's like
I
the
did not
best.
see that.
But anyway, like Zap said, yeah, DeLorean, yeah, that's like an iconic car. And from this movie, I mean, it just made people want it.
And so, in fact, getting back to that, having had the luxury of driving one, or at least I should say privilege, it's not a fun car. You're laying down to drive.
It's shitty.
It's not good, and it's
So it doesn't drive on rails. They would say about a great car.
No. It's
just all looks.
It's all looks. It's absolutely all looks. It's you put lipstick on a pig, essentially.
So that on the front was like AMC. Is that what it said? So is that
DMC?
Oh, DMC.
DeLorean
Okay.
motor
Is that
car?
what it was? Okay.
Yes.
I didn't know it was like American Motor because they made cars back then, right?
AMC also made cars.
Yeah.
Automobiles.
But the DeLorean, like I said, today you can buy one for $12,000 to, if you're looking at the higher end ones, you're looking at $30,000.
Right.
You might be going higher than that.
Yeah.
Really?
Maybe.
For the higher end ones?
Check them internets.
Yeah.
I was looking at 12 for some of the cheaper ones.
I don't know.
We talking about like
the
a Hondo?
The market's up. You know what I mean?
So you also, the market's not surely the market is up because you have, fellas our age who have now, come into money, and they have the ability
Spend it
to
on something.
Spend it on something stupid.
Well, nostalgia.
Yeah.
Is really what it is. And I'm just as guilty. I blow plenty of money on old stuff just because, it reminds me of my childhood, or it's stuff that I always wanted as a kid, or, I can because I do because I can.
Or to spend $300 on your first skateboard,
Right.
which is like popular. $300 to $1,000 for some old Tony Hawks.
Right.
When our first vintage cinema review, Matt and I did Blood Lake from 1987. And in that first movie review, we talked a lot about VHS copies of tapes and stuff, and how the value's up, and the people, because of our age, we grew up with that, and like having the actual VHS copy. So at that time, and I don't know if they're still up for sale on eBay, there was a copy of Back to the Future sealed from 1986, I'd probably say. I said 85 during the podcast, but it probably came out like a year later. For sale on eBay for like 20 grand. Now, whether or not they sell for that, but it's because of the nostalgia aspect of it. It's sealed. It's an original copy. And people are using VHS tapes kind of like baseball cards. They seal them. They're graded. They put them in a thing. And Back to the Future being one of the most beloved movies from that time period. I mean, talking about spending money on things that's like a prime
But you
example.
work hard, you have a little extra money. That's something you want. Walking into your basement.
Like, check this out. Look what I got. You know what I mean?
In a
Like,
frame. I think that's cool.
mean,
I dig
think
it.
Zap would have been impressed if he came down and I had a copy of back sealed VHS copy. He'd probably be like, that's pretty cool. Now,
Or
if
like
I told him I spent 20 grand on it, I don't know what.
I would have called you a fool.
Right.
And Ed Gein signed Vulva
Yeah.
for
well, that's something else.
$20,000.
But equally, it's one man's trash is another man's treasure.
Exactly.
Very true.
Exactly.
However, a sealed copy of Back to the Future, I would never call trash.
No, I think it's special, but that money, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
That's like a vintage poster
So-
of Empire Strikes Back. I think sold for something crazy,
some
like
big
100
money.
some thousand.
But this movie here, Back to the Future, so just a lot of facts on this, but some cool things. I think we've all, like Zap said, I hope you've seen the movie. If not, go watch it. I mean, this is
I don't think
insane
anybody,
if you haven't seen it.
That's not.
But you're probably here for the facts and like our little take on everything with the movie. But this script was rejected over 44 times
I read
before
that.
it was greenlit. So that's pretty crazy.
They kept on trying to push it, and nobody wanted it. They were
Yeah.
like, "That's stupid."
I wonder if
story.
it had anything to do with the cost to film it, and like, but that's the other thing. Like, I thought in my head that there was like a ton of special effects, but I guess it really wasn't. Like, most of the story was.
It could have been the script itself. And
Yeah.
now I say that because what we ended up seeing, even with the time machine alone,
It's like whittled down.
is far different than the original concept of the time machine. The original time machine was a refrigerator.
Yes. That's,
Oh,
yes.
okay.
That's
Is that
I
why you
mentioned the
referenced
refrigerator
the
earlier?
I got you.
The original time machine was a refrigerator that Marty ended up jumping into in some kind of nuclear power plant that blew up or some shit, like some plutonium, some explosion, right?
Wow.
But he shields himself from the explosion by hiding in the refrigerator. And it was on the back of a truck, right? He drives the truck into the nuclear power plant. It does something, but it also activates some kind of time
Warp
thing where he goes back to 55. They later changed that because Spielberg was afraid that
Kids would.
lock
Jack
themselves and say, hey, man, I'm going to take my refrigerator back in time. So I'm going to jump in this fridge and close it behind me. Next thing you know, latchkey kids with parents that come home
Kid's dead.
7 or 8 hours later
Refrigerator.
is,
Yeah, that I did
Cold
not
and
know
dead.
that. You know, that's crazy. I did not see that fact.
But then
and
the
I was looking
second,
up a
do you
lot
know
of
what the
stuff.
second time machine was then? What they
didn't.
moved it to from a refrigerator to
I do not know.
say Ford Mustang.
no, that is not correct.
That is correct.
That's not correct.
What did you read?
My understanding is Ford was pushing. They had wanted it. So Ford had approached Spielberg
approached them. Okay.
and said, "Look, man, we'll give you $1 million. Just make sure use the Ford Mustang. We'll give you $1 million. It's product placement. Let's look back at how prominently we see Pepsi placed in that movie. Same concept. Ford wanted to sell cars. Same reason why I didn't know what the hell a DeLorean was. Now we see DeLoreans worth whatever they are, and they're a very sought after car. Same thing. Ford wanted that desperately for that Mustang, so they kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing, and they said no, not interested. We're going to go with this.
The DeLorean looks more futuristic. Probably
They
with
said
the
it
glowing
looks more
doors
like
and all that.
a spaceship for an alien with the doors that.
Another thing back to the product placement, it was California Raisins also wanted
In
product
there,
placement. It was like $5,000 that they put in, like, hey, or basically
There was a Zales
pay
jeweler
you
sign?
Yeah, I guess there was like a bowl of raisins or something on the, and they wanted to do that, I guess, and they're like, no, it won't. It'll look like dirt on the table, so we'll just put you on like I forget if it was like a bench.
The bench where the
something
homeless
like
guy
that.
was.
And they're like, yeah, that's bullshit. Give us our $5,000 back. So they took their money back. They didn't want to be in the movie, I guess.
That's pretty cheap for $5,000.
Yeah, I mean, for that movie, I mean,
Jeez.
it would have been, but at that time, California Raisins, think about the commercials. I don't know if they were out then with the Temptations.
The
and all that.
claymation commercials.
Yeah,
Yep.
that was big time. So they're already like
They
pretty.
said the Pepsi was very prominent, like the Pepsi free. Oh, now you want a Pepsi free?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was really surprised about the amount of people that were up for these roles. Are you guys aware of
Stoltz.
Well, we all know Stoltz.
Yep.
Obviously, is like the big one. So we talked about that in Teen Wolf, about how Eric Stoltz played Marty McFly basically for the whole movie.
For
They had it
pretty much, yeah.
filmed, and they just
They said they didn't like it.
He just didn't. He was like
Too much of a
like
good actor.
They call him
Yeah,
like a method actor or whatever, and he just didn't.
He gets way too into it.
Mhm.
And if he misunderstands or misinterprets it, so Eric Stoltz is he's a just obsessed actor that not only is he acting as an actor, but he insists, like, while he's on set or throughout that whole thing, refer to me
Call
by
him Marty.
my character's name, by Marty in this case.
Right. And Tom
I think
Wilson.
they just had the shits of it. They're like, come on, man, it's a
Calm down.
it's a chill movie.
Tom Wilson, who played Biff, there was a scene in the cafeteria where they got into it or whatever, and they had filmed that scene with Eric Stoltz as Marty McFly, and I guess he was like brutalizing the Biff character to the point that he was like, I'm gonna fuck this guy up. Like, he's getting too into this part, and he needs to take it. Eric Stoltz was.
Oh, where
So
they
he was
like
getting
almost get
pissed.
into the fight.
Yeah, they would have continued filming and stuff. He was gonna like get back at him. He was like bruising him and like kind of hurting him during these scenes. And Biff was a big dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I guess during the scenes, he even told him like, chill out. And he
chill out,
He wouldn't like
Stoltz.
relax with it. So like we said, Eric Stoltz was up. They filmed the whole movie. And if you go on YouTube, you can actually find those clips and watch it. It's kind of weird to see. And obviously, we've all seen our boy Michael J. Fox. And I can't picture anybody else. But here's some other names. I don't know if you guys are aware of any other names.
Well, I know they changed the girlfriend around because the one that they originally cast was too tall.
I did not know about that.
Yeah,
So
I read that.
I don't know who that was, but C. Thomas Howell was up for this.
For
He was
Marty?
originally cast as Marty McFly.
Outsiders.
Yeah. Matthew Modine turned it down. You know Matthew Modine?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Charlie Sheen was
Yeah,
considered.
I remember that.
And John Cusack was considered. Canadian pop singer
Corey Hart.
Corey Hart.
Yes, I did
Is
read
that
that.
Sunglasses at Night
Yes,
guy?
I wear
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
I didn't know about John Cusack.
You did or didn't?
I did not.
Yeah, John Cusack.
I'm thinking about it. I think he could have pulled it off.
He probably could have.
I really think
It's
he
in
could
his
have pulled-
wheelhouse.
because
Yeah.
and he would have the right mannerisms. He would. I think he could have done that.
I'm picturing it right now. Yeah, he's wearing the vest or the life jacket.
Of all those people I named, he'd probably, like you said, that'd probably be the one that I could picture.
I don't know. I think Sheen could have turned him into like kind of like a douchey, cocky kind of.
For sure.
No doubt.
It would have been a whole different, but I think he could have still liked the character. But the
Right.
way that he did it would have been kind of cool.
Ralph Macchio was offered the role. That would have been weird. That was after Karate Kid.
Christ, I'm glad he didn't.
Yeah,
get it.
that would
would've
have
sucked.
ruined it for me. But and then Elizabeth Shue being in the sequel, that they would have rekindled their thing from
Karate Kid?
and all that. Yeah.
Mm.
So
I saw Elizabeth Shue one time. I think I mentioned that before.
She
was in DC.
She was not ugly in her day.
And I said to my wife, I was like, hey, look, there's Elizabeth Shue. I was like, should I go get a picture? She's like, who?
I had no idea who it was.
Yeah, I was like, she ruined that whole experience for me.
She might have been one of the few that jump started me into puberty. So I'm thinking
Did she kickstart your heart?
she. Let's see, 85. I would have been 9 years old.
That's around, 9, 10.
That was a
Yeah.
couple of years after the same age that Ed Gein did that thing with the pig. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right-
I would
right
have been. Yeah.
Adventures in Babysitting was around that time.
Yeah.
She
Right
was,
on
she was
schedule.
brilliant.
So how about the part of Doc Brown? Did you guys know any names with that were associated with that?
Christopher Lloyd.
Yeah, well, he got the part, obviously. As we
Oh,
know.
okay.
How about James Woods?
No.
Could you
That
picture
would have
that
been
one?
terrible.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I did not. Wow. Listen. I mean, I'm kissed my mom at the bus stop. Dave's taking me to school.
Yeah. Well, here are two other names that kind of blew my mind. And these guys at the time, actually, the one guy, I guess he was still alive then, but Gene Wilder or Dick Van Dyke.
No. That would have been terrible.
Definitely not Dick Van Dyke. I could maybe imagine Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder.
Gene Wilder would have
I
been
coulda saw
older,
that.
like in his 70s, though, probably.
Well, I don't know. This is in 85. When did Gene Wilder pass away? Do we know?
90s. Sometimes.
Was it-
I want to say
Or- and
2000.
I'm
was
not
it
sure.
okay? I was thinking for some reason he passed away in the 80s, but I guess I'm wrong on that.
So he did in the 80s. He did that movie with Richard
Stir Crazy.
Well, he did a few movies with Richard Pryor, but the one I'm thinking of is See No Evil, Hear No Evil.
Yes, yeah.
So
That's
one
right.
was
Yeah,
deaf,
one was deaf,
one was blind. I mean,
Was
come
that?
on.
I think I remember that. You're right. That was later 80s.
Right.
Like, yeah, I kind of remember seeing that at the theater. So yeah,
I thought he was Willy Wonka.
He was.
Yeah.
he was. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right on that.
But I don't see Willy Wonka playing
So
Doc Brown. I don't know.
You got the hair for it.
I don't want to take all like the
Christopher Walken.
No, please continue with these fun facts.
no, but Matt, I don't know if do you have any fun
No.
facts or anything you want to touch
Fun
on?
facts. Fun facts.
Fun
Huey Lewis from Huey Lewis in the News made
Right.
a
Cameo
Back in time.
appearance.
yes. And when they went to play "The Power of Love," which
Mm-hmm.
was hit one of their songs, he was like, "Nope, too loud," which I thought was funny in
Wait,
a way.
in the movie they said it.
Yeah.
I don't.
Did you
remember
watch
that
the
part.
movie?
I did. I mean, I've seen it a million times.
All right,
but I'm
Huey
trying to-
Lewis-
So when the Pinheads, which
The
was
Pinheads
the name
was
of
the-
Marty's
the
band,
band.
are auditioning for the
Oh
dance.
Battle
yes,
of
in
the
the
Bands.
beginning. Yes,
Yes.
yes. I'm thinking of the Enchantment Under the Sea. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
In the very beginning
Yes,
when they're
very
The
beginning.
guy that says,
I got
"I'm
you.
sorry, you're just too darn loud."
Right,
That
I
is,
got
in
you.
fact, Huey
He has
Lewis.
he has glasses on.
Yeah,
whatever
and
the
he
guy's
brings
saying.
up the
Yes.
megaphone. He's like, "Stop!"
Yeah, like the sports shades
Mm-hmm.
that Zap just held up. Yeah. So the inspiration for this movie, Bob Gale, who was what was he, director? Yeah.
Mhm.
He took this from looking through his dad's yearbook. He had inspiration from that, thinking, I wonder what it'd be like if I would have met my dad when we were
Yes,
teenagers, if we
I
would have
read
hung
that.
out and all that stuff like that. So he started thinking about like if I would have went back in time and all that. I don't know. They really thought about like would he hook up with his mom? I mean, that's kind of
weird.
Kind of a
But he
weird.
doesn't really hook up with his mom. His mom goes to kiss him. And
I mean, pretty damn close.
no,
I
he
mean,
goes, "It's like kissing my brother." Is what
Yeah.
she said. He's like, "Oh, you don't even know."
Yeah, I mean that whole dynamic.
I wonder if he would have smashed though. It's
Watching
weird.
it, yeah, watching it as an
Jake
adult,
Fox.
but watching that now, like as an adult,
It's in a different
it's
version.
weird, yeah. But yeah, that's where he kind of got inspiration from that.
Oh, also in the beginning, Steven Spielberg was friends with Stanley Kubrick. He was a big Stanley Kubrick fan. And he gives a nod to him in the beginning where he goes to turn on the amps and everything. He's jacking like all the power up.
Yes,
And there was one that was labeled CRM 114. It was on the amp, which made like no sense because the other one was like, like gain and all that other stuff.
right.
And that was something that Stanley Kubrick puts in many of his movies, is something that he just gives a shout out to himself for,
Dude, I got you.
which is weird. I don't even know what it means. I couldn't find that, but CRM 114.
So
Kubrick.
as far as like we were talking earlier off the podcast, we were talking about parts in this movie that were maybe screw ups or parts that you could say, hey, they messed up on that. Do you guys, can you think of a part in the plot that people would question a lot? Like I'm going to bring up something here that now that I read it here, it does make sense that I do remember thinking this. Is there a part of that movie that you ever thought about like, well, why?
The DeLorean.
No.
Oh, well, I thought about the
Well,
DeLorean when it.
think about, okay, Marty McFly goes back in time to 1955 and meets his parents and then changes the history and everything else and everything. And then we fast
So when you
forward
come
now.
very his parents are cool.
His parents are cool, but do they not remember that they met
Marty. Yeah,
Marty
it
as
makes
a
no
teenager?
sense.
So I did think about that over, various times watching this movie. Like, why wouldn't they recognize him? So Bob Gale explained that in like a Q&A, and he said, think about it this way. Think about if you're in your 40s now, which we are, and you think about somebody you met in high school for like a week. And that's basically about the amount of time that they spent with Marty. Now, they did have...
Well, she even liked his name. She's like, Marty. I like that
Calvin
name.
Klein, yeah.
Yeah.
Could you picture somebody that you met for a week, like perfectly? And do you think that if you saw them, like think about the two girls we met at Knoebels when we were there. In perfect example, Matt and I went to Knoebels Grove in 9th grade and met two girls that were from out near Pittsburgh or something.
yeah.
We were camping and we hung out with them, kind of went and rode rides and stuff like that. I know the girl had red hair. I can't picture her face. I wouldn't know. But the thing
But
is,
to somebody that brought you together as a couple,
you don't think you'd be, but what do you think, Zap?
I don't know. I've thought about that a bit, but now hearing that explanation, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like that makes absolute sense to me.
seems a flash in the pan. Like,
So yeah, I mean, look,
Yeah.
I can't remember last week for Christ's sake. So
Right.
you ask me now in my mid 40s, hey, remember this one dude that you saw off and on rando over the course of a week? No.
Yeah,
The
like-
answer is no.
You're at senior week or something, and some guy from Steel High or something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're at a
It's,
party.
you know what? It's exactly that.
Yeah.
It's exactly
You're
that.
not going to probably. So that makes sense.
but she liked the name, and she always remembered that one kid, Marty. Like she could have remembered that.
right. And I think they do reference that at the end, right? Don't they say something about that? And she said, or no, maybe not.
No, but in the movie,
That's right.
she's like,
In the actual, when they're in
yeah.
55, she goes, "That's a good name."
Yeah, she's like,
we
that's a
should-
good name.
Yeah, that's right.
She's like,
that's
I like
right.
that name because he says about your children if your son burns the carpet or something like that.
Right.
Don't
So
be too hard on him.
Yeah, I thought that was like something cool. And when they brought it up, I was like, yeah, you know what? I did think about that.
And they said a misstep or whatever in that movie too was when Doc Brown opens up the back of the trailer and pulls the DeLorean out.
Mm-hmm.
It's a small trailer; it just fits the DeLorean. How did he have the doors open so you could get in?
Oh, yeah.
They said it didn't make any sense.
We
How did he
went
get
through the
in?
trunk. We can't go through the trunk. It's all.
Yeah, you couldn't get
The
in.
trunk is the engine.
Yes, you're right.
So there was no way to get in the DeLorean as he had it parked. He's like to pull it out, but they said they after they
Is there a
filmed
sunroof?
it. No, not
Oh,
DeLorean.
okay.
No.
No.
But they were like, it's too late now. They're just like, we'll let it go.
I don't know. I think that Doc Brown is a bit of a hypocrite.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah, for sure. So, and here we go. So, Doc Brown will forever pester Marty. Don't do this. Don't do that. You're going to you're going to interrupt the time continuum. Don't do this. Don't change that. You can't do this. Don't make, you got to do this. Don't. Always giving him rule. Don't do this. Don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
But all of a sudden, it's cool if I altered time and now my parents are wealthy and successful. And now Biff, who was the bully, is now a piece of shit. He's the peon now.
Right.
Oh, no, that part's okay.
Right.
But don't fuck up anything else. Just the part that's beneficial for you, Marty. So,
Right.
you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like hypocrite. I know what you're saying.
I
But nobody liked Biff. He was the villain, so it didn't matter in the story.
Mhm. No, but I know what he's saying.
But you're
It's
right. No,
like,
with
you
Doc,
can't-
too.
You can't have it
I'm
both
just
ways.
saying Doc Brown is a hypocrite.
But
He's
then
an
he
absolute
leaves.
hypocrite.
He leaves and comes back and gets Marty again. He's like, "Oh, it's about your kids," and then he takes him off again. Why don't you just leave well enough
You
alone?
took the next
Doc?
part of my discussion right out of my mouth, and that's exactly it.
Leave
Doc
well
Brown,
enough
you
alone.
are a hypocrite.
I agree.
I didn't think about it that way, but you're right.
Is he the actual villain in this movie? Is it all because of Doc Brown?
Could be.
If he didn't bump his head and come up with the
Did you know?
Flux capacitor.
the flux capacitor, then none of this would ever happen.
Did you know that 1.1 gigawatts is actually
1
how they
point.
pronounced it back? It was gigawatts, but how it was pronounced back then was with gigawatts. It was just how they pronounced it at the time. So that was more of the.
They were getting jiggy with it.
Yeah, it was just
back
actually
in the 50s.
it was actually just how they pronounced it. Instead of gigawatts, it was jig. It was with a G, but they just pronounced it that way. That's why they. It's kind
Like giraffe.
yeah, exactly. And originally, in the original script, the DeLorean was to be powered with Coca-Cola. They had it written in the script. But then
How was that when they had
it.
so much Pepsi in the
Well, that's
movie?
probably why they changed it. That's why I don't know. I mean, I'm assuming, but that was in there as one of
Ooh,
the facts.
so speaking of Coca-Cola, so when Marty goes to the diner in 1955 and he says, "Give me a Pepsi free." Oh, if you want a Pepsi, you're
you
gonna
got to
have to
pay for it, kid.
Okay, well, just give me a tab.
Tab, I don't. Yeah.
He's like, I
Tab.
can't give you the tab.
Tab
Yeah.
is a Coca-Cola product.
Oh wow.
So again, product placement. Ford wants a Mustang. Pepsi. Got to be all Pepsi, all day Pepsi.
But he couldn't get a tab because he hasn't ordered anything yet.
And yet he asks for a Coca-Cola product. I'm sure Pepsi was fuming.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
then he asked for the Pepsi free. So
What was the last? He goes.
I think it was that. I think he's saying there was
Pepsi
two
free, give me a
product
tab.
placements they said here.
Ah, I got you.
Like they paid for an advertisement.
That makes
Possibly.
sense.
Or
Word
they
of
were
mouth.
just having fun and playing on words.
Playing on words. True.
So the catchphrase where Biff goes, "Make like a tree and get out of here," that was all ad lib. He kind of made it up on the spot. That wasn't written or anything like that. That's one of
amazing.
the scenes that I remember. Obviously it stands out for
Make like a
everybody.
tree.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other
So
stuff.
like we talked about the DeLorean, like he said, it was picked because of the gull wing doors, and it was going to be for 1955 futuristic because it opens like that, and all that. And in the classic scene where he transports back to 1955, wrecks into the barn, and all that, and he comes back later with the little Walkman, and he has the tape, and it says Edward Van Halen on the tape
Mhm.
because Van Halen, the band, wouldn't give them permission to use their music.
Oh,
But
is that why it said Edward Van Halen?
And Edward Van Halen was like, "Yeah, I'll write something up," and he played that guitar riff and said, "You can use that." So that's why it said Edward Van Halen and not Van Halen. On
And
the
that
tape.
song was never released.
It wasn't even a song. It was just
That track,
it
that
was
you
like
name
some,
it.
Yeah, it was
That rip, yeah.
yeah.
I
It was
thought
just
that
Eddie Van Halen.
Interesting fact. Yeah. And another thing, Edward Van Halen was born in 1955. So
Oh.
add that to it.
That's the same as Einstein the dog. Einstein died in 1955.
Oh, for real?
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, this movie does there's so many things that
It's a
you
mind
leave out.
fuck
Yeah, you know what I
of a
mean.
movie.
Wait a second. Einstein the dog died in 1955 or Einstein the dude?
Albert Einstein.
Got it. The dude.
The dude.
Got it.
Yeah, and like I said about
Albert Einstein,
the
not the dog.
gigawatts, like I was saying, it was now obscure, but it was one standard pronunciation of the word gigawatt. So.
And the backlot of Hill Valley, where it was filmed, was from the original Twilight Zone in 1959. It's also a little tidbit of a fact.
So we all know what Michael J. Fox, what show he was working on.
Family Ties.
Right, very good show. You remember the mom's name?
Meredith Baxter Burney.
Yeah, we talk about her all the time.
Yeah.
Right? So she
My
was.
girl. Tonight's the Night for Love with Meredith Baxter Burney.
Is that a movie or is that you bring that up all the time? Is that like a TV show or something?
This sounds to me like a quote from a song.
Yes.
Okay.
It is from South Park.
Oh,
Chef. He used to sing a song about.
I didn't know that.
He sang "Tonight's the Night for Love" with Meredith Baxter Burney.
Oh, he was
Got
into
me
her.
burning.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it's a great song. If you guys, look up South Park Chef Meredith Baxter Burney song. It's amazing.
Okay, I did not know that. So yeah, like we talked about.
Who was Chef? Anyone?
Isaac Hayes.
Exactly.
I knew it was somebody like that. So we talked about Stoltz playing in this, and then Michael J. Fox at the time was doing Family Ties, and she was pregnant at the time. There was a whole scheduling conflict. They were done filming, and Family Ties was like, okay, you can go do that, but you're limited on. They had to work it out. He could only film at night for Family Ties and all that.
Yeah, he was working. He was burning the midnight oil.
Right. So Eric Stoltz went on from the.
What's that shit?
Yeah.
Beds were burning.
I was waiting for him to say beds were burning.
Yeah.
So Eric Stoltz would later star in The Fly 2 in 1989, where his character's name was Martin. So he went from Marty McFly to Martin the Fly in The Fly 2. Yeah.
Look at that.
So
I don't think I haven't seen The Fly too.
Yeah.
The original The Fly, that was a great movie. I would like to do that one.
Oh, here's another one that auditioned for Marty McFly. Big name. You want to take a guess? If somebody we just talked about in our last movie.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
No. No. Ed Gein. No, Johnny Depp.
Oh.
Did not know that.
Yeah, Johnny Depp. He said he did read for it, but he wasn't memorable.
Didn't he do like
So-
Crybaby at that time? Or was
I
that
think
after
it was
that?
later. I
Okay.
probably would have been later. I mean, you figured Nightmare on Elm Street was 84. Johnny Depp that was
Yes,
his first.
that was his first role.
Yeah. So this would have been like right after that.
I don't think he could have pulled it off.
Yeah, he would have been
Nah.
bad.
No, I say that, of course, using Michael J. Fox as the
standard,
basis, right?
yeah.
That's the gold standard, obviously, as the one having done it.
Mm-hmm.
So everything else is going to be compared to him. But Johnny Depp, just being Johnny Depp, there's going to be some. I'm thinking at that age, some weird passion or whatever. I'm just thinking like Luke Perry from 90210.
Spending hours and hours with Johnny Depp on set.
Yeah,
would have been a
it's
lot.
just weird.
Yeah.
It's- no.
I agree. Yeah,
But a lot of these actors that you mentioned had way better careers than Michael J. Fox. He wasn't not really a career actor. He wasn't.
No. I mean, when did his affliction, like that, whatever he has, Parkinson's or whatever,
Parkinson's.
what year did that come about?
I'm not sure.
Because, I mean, he had some stinkers. I know that. What was that one where he's a Doc Hollywood
Doc
or whatever?
Hollywood.
Yeah, there were a couple ones that didn't do too well at the
No, pretty much he had Back to the Future, and he had that TV show.
Teen Wolf.
What are you talking about?
Oh,
He had The
Teen
Secret of
Wolf.
My Success. Incredibly great movie.
my
Yeah.
success.
Great movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, you're right. Shoot, he did have.
What else was Michael J. Fox in? I'm trying to think, though. Because he didn't really get sick till the 2000s, right?
So Teen Wolf. He was then in a show, a television show,
Spin City.
Spin City.
Yes. Yeah, I forgot
But
about
that wasn't that huge. That was like more of a cult.
It did all right.
Yeah, fans.
It had fans, but I'm saying it's not like a huge, like everybody like, oh, Spin City.
So
He
Mike-
married Sarah Jessica Parker.
He did? Or was
Isn't
that Matthew Broderick?
Matthew Broderick. They
How about him? He could have played Marty.
Yes, he would have been a
Maybe.
great Marty.
Broderick.
He would have been better than Jay Fox.
Only because you mentioned John Cusack. Now I've got that in my
That
head.
image in there, yeah.
I
It's taking
can't
me
think of
back.
anyone else that could possibly pull it off but him.
So here's one. We were talking about Michael J.
Maybe
Fox.
the remake.
Maybe in the remake.
Remake.
It'll bring it back.
It's like
They'll do it eventually.
Well, they will, but
We
not-
can make the faces look like they were when they were kids still.
Hollywood is lazy.
they won't do it until Zemeckis and Gale pass away, though, because they have it written in their contract
So
or
never-
whatever that they'll never remake it or whatever. So it won't happen until they're gone. I guess they said it's not. I'm sure they're trying. We talked about Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf, his height, and that was like a thing. But Teen Wolf, Michael J. Fox with the dunking, the dunking scenes and all that, it was like not believable. In Teen Wolf, they had a stunt double. It was like, so Michael J. Fox, according to this, is 5'4.5", and Christopher Lloyd is 6'1". So during their scenes, like Christopher Lloyd had to hunch over a lot, and they had to film them at like a certain distance from each other to kind of make them look like not so.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was.
That's what I told you about the casting. I guess the original girlfriend, they was like, it just didn't work because she was
too tall.
Yeah,
too tall. Yeah,
with shoes on. She was like 5'9".
yeah.
So
Poor Michael J.
I had the luxury of going to a Comic-Con in Philly
Oh, how cool!
X number of years ago, and at this particular Comic-Con, in addition to the act, so I don't know these guys, Chris, whatever his name, who was
Crispin Glover. Yeah.
In addition to Captain America, whoever that Chris is, in addition,
Chris Pine.
Christopher
Lloyd.
No.
Captain America is from the newer movies you're talking about.
Yeah.
Christopher Columbus.
No.
Wow.
No.
So, no. So let's go with this. I'm just
okay.
I'll just say
Captain America.
In addition to the actual actor who plays Captain America, in addition to the actual actor who plays Thor, in addition to a couple other actual Avenger people that were there, was the OG 3 of Back to the Future. So you had Leah Thompson, Christopher Lloyd, and Michael J. Fox.
How cool.
All in the same room. They had this forum discussion. It was awesome.
Like a question and answer. They were on stage.
Q&A for
cool.
damn sure. It was great. Absolutely great. But my biggest takeaway from that was Christopher Lloyd's eternal, lifelong thankfulness for having done this movie. Like, this movie changed his life.
So he's like a super fan of Back to the Future.
So Doc Brown himself is just so moved and taken aback by having been a part of this. Like, he's just so thankful that over and over and over again that he will forever say it was the best thing he's ever done. Again, significant life-changing event. He's made lifelong friends as a result of it. Just again, so eternally thankful for having done that. That was just
wasn't he Jim on Taxi?
My takeaway, yeah. That was my takeaway from that. That after having wasted his life, with Taxi, which he didn't, obviously.
No, he did. He was great.
Yeah, of course,
he was Taxi.
Yeah, but again, just that was a really good walking away from that. I was like, wow, I never thought about that. Like, I just think you're given this thought that all these actors are just pompous and I'm here to just collect the millions of dollars and walk away. I'm an actor.
He's appreciative of it. Yeah.
He is incredibly appreciative of it.
Yeah, I mean, he was great. I like talking about these other actors. Those two in particular, Michael J. Fox and Chris. I can't imagine anybody like you said about Cusack. Yeah, I can see it, but still, I mean, I think they were just cast perfectly. I mean,
Leah Thompson was good in it. Also,
she was good, but she was replaced then, right? Was
Elizabeth Shue, but no,
that was the original girlfriend. Jennifer, the original, was replaced by Jennifer, played by Elizabeth Shue in parts 2 and 3.
But the mom was still the same. Leah, but
the mom was that's right. That's right. Okay,
all the way through. Yep.
I got you. That was the girl.
But they had to put I guess it said it took 3 hours to make her from the 23-year-old Leah Thompson to the 43-year-old Leah Thompson to his mom.
So talking about Christopher Lloyd and how much he loved this movie, he said he always wanted to do another movie where him and Marty would travel to ancient Rome, but I guess because of the Zemeck, them guys shutting it down, it's not going to happen or whatever. And I guess by this point, with their age,
there's really no reason to do that now.
But here's one. So the Twin Pines Mall.
I know where you're going with it.
Oh, you already know.
Okay, let's see if I can read your mind. Oh, no, the Twin Pines Mall
in California.
You may go ahead and speak to the mall. You were speaking specifically to the mall.
My house is the Albee Square
I'm talking
Mall.
about during the movie. So in the beginning of the movie, it's the Twin Pines Mall. Correct. You're aware of this.
Then I was going to interject. And in fact, so for the super fans that watch, and so Marty, let's not all forget that when he shows up at the Twin Pines Mall.
Correct. Yeah.
And he drives off and he goes back in time to some old codger that just was crazy about pine trees.
Ed Gein's farm.
Could have been Ed Gein.
Yeah.
The guy had the hat.
Yeah.
So he goes to this dude's house and as Marty's driving out of the barn and busts the door down, he's driving away. Why you my pines?
Yeah.
What'd you do to my pines?
And he takes a shot and blows the mailbox up.
Right, blows the mailbox up. And so later on, when Marty returns, I'm just going to show up 10 minutes earlier, half hour earlier. I can't remember the exact amount of time.
10 minutes earlier.
10 minutes earlier to stop the Libyans from shooting up Doc Brown. When he arrives back at that, it is the Lone Pine Mall.
Yeah.
So
You
that was
took
a
over
great.
the
Thank you. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't want to steal that thunder.
No,
but
I wanted you. I'm
Because
glad
they
you
showed
knew
the
it.
sign there for a little bit, just
Yeah.
showing it while he was like peeking around the corner.
No, I'm
See
glad
if you
you
would
knew
notice.
that because a lot of people don't.
I
And-
wanted to interject that after we talk about what were some goofs, what might have been wrong,
that was
what
so
might have
fantastic.
been off.
But
Yeah.
that was one of the things that like a lot. I didn't find that out until much later, like maybe 5-6 years ago. That I never noticed it in the movie, but now with YouTube and everything else, you go down a rabbit hole of like watching things and facts about movies and stuff. But I think that's one that like people probably missed or didn't catch. You have to be really observant to remember that from the beginning.
That's
to the end.
that's super fan or
Yeah.
that's detail.
Did
Right.
Michael J. Fox sing "Johnny Be Good"?
No,
That was not him
That
singing.
was not him.
Who
No,
was
damn sure that was not him.
but they put him on the credits. They didn't put the actual guy for authenticity. They let it be Michael J. Fox that sang that song.
Oh, that's weird.
But the guy that sang it didn't say who he was until years later. So they wanted you to believe that was Michael J. Fox.
That's messed up. If I was the guy singing, I'd be pissed off.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Girl,
really-
you know it's true.
is that who sang it?
No, it's what was Milli Vanilli. They never sang any of their songs.
Yeah,
But
Milli
no,
Vanilli.
but they never credited until later on the guy that actually sang it. Did he play guitar?
I don't know either.
He did not play guitar, but he did learn how to move his fingers in some way, shape, or form
Correct.
to mimic relatively closely, I should say with relative closeness, what it would otherwise look like if he were playing.
To play
Yes.
guitar.
Yep.
That's pretty wild. So back to Twin Pines Mall. So that's actually the Puente Hills Mall.
Puente.
Yeah, is that how you say that?
Puente.
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 See,
Senor.
Yeah, Hills Mall in City of Industry, California. The JCPenney is closed since then, but
There's a JCPenney that closed at our local mall. Also,
Yeah.
it's sad.
most malls.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad, but yeah. Zap's got a great T-shirt on, so you're probably gonna see that if you go on Facebook. You'll see Zap's T-shirt. So I was like looking at him, like that's like pretty interesting. So tell the story
I
behind.
thought that was Ed Gein.
Yeah, he had that too on there. Maybe like the sketches up in
The
the, top.
sketches, yeah.
Who's the guy with the? He has like the sunglasses on up there at the top. Is that Doc Brown? Up at the very top.
Where,
Up
right
there.
There?
No, on the right side.
There?
The headband.
that's for damn sure Doc Brown with the
Okay.
sunglasses from the future.
I
So
gotcha.
when Doc Brown shows up at the end of
yes,
Back
very
to the
end.
Future 1, he shows up roads where we're going. We
You
don't need roads.
Okay.
That is him with those sunglasses. So yeah, this is an incredible T-shirt. Way back when Norman Rockwell, hopefully a name people know, fantastic artist, incredible artist. He had created this painting of himself, painting a picture of himself, which looks different from himself, as he's leaning over to the side, looking in a mirror, seeing a different reflection of himself. So it's essentially Norman Rockwell looking at it's for the observer to see three different versions of Norman Rockwell.
Right.
This shirt is an incredible play on that. It is, in fact, the exact play on that with the three iterations of Marty McFly.
Yeah, it's a cool shirt.
So you've got Marty from Back to the Future 1 painting a picture of himself from Back to the Future 3 as he's looking into a mirror and seeing himself from Back to the Future 2.
And then there's all kinds of little
Sketches.
intricacies
Yeah.
of there's the Hill Valley clock
The
up in the top.
skateboard.
The
hoverboard. Hoverboard,
You
I
got
should
you got the helmet that Doc Brown
Doc
wore
Brown's
when he
to
was,
predict the future.
The flex capacitor sketch. You got the guitar. Got some magazines there. The sports almanac. Yeah, it's just got everything
The
going on.
Nikes.
Yeah, it's a cool shirt.
Very cool.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, I'm to check that one out.
So
Whenever you get that.
as chance would have it, although it wasn't really chance, it was on purpose. I had worn this shirt to that Comic-Con I had mentioned, and it for damn sure turned heads.
Yeah, it's a hit. I mean,
very
I can
good.
see
Yeah,
where-
very
It was
cool.
a great find.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think it's definitely cool. But
I guess that means that I'm sporting a 5 or 6 year old T-shirt, but whatever.
well, I mean, it's timeless,
It's
just like the
vintage.
movie. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah,
Much
I'm
like
not-
the movie.
It's not like I'm going to grow out of it or into it. It's still the
You
same
could still
shirt.
grow out of
Right.
it. Don't
That's
uncredit
fair.
yourself.
That's fair. You can do anything you want,
Yes.
Zap. If you put your mind to it. If
Yes.
you want to grow out of that shirt, you can do it.
Aim high.
Yeah. So this Crispin Glover character who played Marty's dad was supposedly kind of a problem, much like
Really?
Eric Stoltz. I guess he said he only saw the movie once, and shortly after, and he just wasn't into it. I guess he was kind of hard to work with too. That's why well, Eric Stoltz, they kind of let go.
I would agree, or at least understand the idea that Crispin Glover is a problem actor. From what I gather about Crispin Glover, I envision his character from Charlie's Angels to be him as a normal person.
Just how he is.
Yeah.
Or Willard with the rats.
Willard,
he was creepy.
Yeah. Again, dude, just typecast into oddity.
And he was in Back to the Future 1 and 2.
Right.
There was no need for him in
That's uno and dos for the Spanish listeners.
3. Thank you.
So another fact.
In Espanol, where available.
Yeah.
And Mexican listeners.
So another fact on this movie, I'm sure you remember the Ronald Reagan reference. So they had to clear all
About
that.
the actor?
The actor?
Yeah. And then who's the first lady? So when they wrote all this stuff up in the script, they had to actually send it to the White House to get approval and to make sure it wasn't disrespectful or anything. But Ronald Reagan loved it.
He was an actor. Yeah.
He
probably dug
he
that.
thought it was great. And I mean, he loved that part. He actually references Back to the Future in one of his speeches. They said about where we're going, we don't need roads or whatever like that. He actually did in one of his speeches. But I mean, all in all, I mean, it's just a great movie. You have anything else on there that you want to touch on, or?
No, I think we pretty much hit all the main spots there.
Right.
I don't see anything. Like I said, to who we're talking to, they had to have seen Back to the Future.
Yeah, if you haven't.
If you're listening to our podcast.
If you haven't, then you obviously...
You've wasted your life.
You haven't. If you have the capability to listen to this podcast, then you have the capability. You have internet. You have, you know what I mean? You better have seen this movie.
You could probably watch it in like 20 parts on YouTube by now.
I'm sure it's cut up. I mean, it's on TV all the time, but got anything else, Zap?
Again, it's interesting when you're put on the spot and you're asked, oh, pick a
spot. Yeah.
Pick a part, pick a something. I mean, this is one of those movies, and there's only a handful. There's really, for any one person, there's only so many that you just know and love. And it's like you said, it's one of those you could see 1,000 times, and it's never enough. And it's not that you yearn to watch it and you look, you seek it out. It's just, instead, it's just a part of you, right?
Comfort.
It's there. It's like
a meatloaf sandwich.
Yeah, I was going to say meatloaf, mac and cheese. There's something like real easy and just, again, comfort.
Right. It's not like the best thing in the world, but it's just something that you just, I know what you mean. I will tell you one of my favorite lines from this movie, and I love it every time I see it, is when, two parts, basically in the same scene, when he goes back and his mom, and he gets hit by the car, and the dad brings him in and stuff, and his uncle's in the crib. I guess it's a crib, and he's like, "Better get used to these bars, kid," because he's behind, and the uncle ends up there. And then when they talk about they're playing, what was it, the Dick Van Dyke Show or something was on TV.
The rerun.
And he was like, "Oh, I saw this episode." And they're like, "How'd you see that?"
So that was an episode of The Honeymooners.
It was The Honeymooner. That's what it was. Yeah. And he's like, "How'd you see it already?" He's like, "Well, we watch, we have
rerun,
and we have
two TVs.
And like, we have 2 TVs.
You must be rich.
Yeah, you must be rich.
No, you're just joking. Nobody has 2 TVs.
Right. And there's just so many of those little lines, and like you said about the Pepsi free and all that. Just this movie's just packed with lines and things you remember, and just like that are just. It's not like laugh out loud funny, but it just hits you, and it's like, oh, that.
It's a feel good movie for the listeners our age, and it's a movie that like my 9-year-old was just loving this movie. We were watching it the other day.
And how many movies that are that old?
Yeah, that you can't sit and watch, that are just like irrelevant to your kids or us. It's just a classic.
No doubt.
Unbelievable. Look, it was a great success for Goldie Wilson. He went from cleaning up the diner to cleaning up the town as the mayor.
Which he would never, if Michael J didn't go back to the future.
That's true.
He would have never been the mayor.
That creates the interesting dichotomy of a potential time loop, right? So what, the chicken and egg theory, what came first?
Yeah.
What would have happened, or did it already happen?
Right.
Odd. Just odd.
Yeah.
But yet so incredible. Even odder, or more odd. I have to check my grammar on that.
The more odd. No, odd. No.
Don't ask us.
Honest. The very term flux capacitor is, if I understand correctly, while I am no scientist nor am I an engineer, so flux in and of itself is some state of out of balance. It's just not, it's not right. Versus capacitor. The very term of a capacitor calms things down. It's if you've got like a shit ton of current going into something, a capacitor is going to just, okay, look, this is the toll booth, right? You're stopping here. So it just that name in and of itself just creates this, just the idea like, wow, something that's just so out of balance and crazy, and yet you have this other term in this that calms everything down. Shit. It's like when the chocolate met the peanut butter. When flux met capacitor, you've got time travel.
This is the perfect marriage of, that's wild. It's,
2 and 2.
Yeah. Which is tough for us.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But,
Math is hard.
No, like Zap said, I mean, I think this movie, like I said, there's so many things that are thought out in this movie. I think the script writing was great. And they actually teach a course on this for the perfect screenplay. They use Back to the Future. I think it was like University of Southern California or somewhere where they actually use this as.
So there's a whole class on Back to the Future.
Because, I mean, it's just perfection almost.
I was like the Goodfellas scene where they go into the restaurant. There's whole things written. There's whole classes on that.
Right. When you make a movie like this that can, you can learn from, like for classes and stuff, like you're doing something right. So
great movie.
Yeah,
good time.
No doubt.
That Burger King still exists, by the way.
Yeah, and that was not product placement. That just was by chance.
Yeah, Burger King said it was okay to use it.
Yeah.
I did read that.
Yeah.
Not only okay to use it, again, here's a free advertisement. Burger King. Dude's riding. This is Michael J. Fox riding his skateboard to jump on the back of or to hitch onto the back of a pickup truck, riding by Burger King. All of a sudden, man, I sure could go for a Whopper.
Yeah, it makes you hungry for it.
So in the beginning of the movie, Michael J. Fox goes into Doc Brown's John with the big speaker and this, that, and the other thing. So that's all that's left of the vastness of the Brown estate and the Brown wealth and whatever. It's just this little building. What once was this whole vast grounds is now all he's left with is the garage. That garage was actually built on an empty lot next to Burger the King, next to that Burger King.
Ah, I did not know that.
That's right. And
That's where it goes. Where
Burger King said, "No, go ahead. You can use it. Go ahead. Build whatever you want on that.
Have fun."
Big deal, yeah. It's
Good
crazy.
fact. Good fact. So many facts in Back to the Future.
So little time.
No
We could
doubt.
be.
Or is it?
If we could go back to 1994 right now, like wouldn't that be cool? If we go back to right
say
now,
like
we can
90.
get a time machine.
I think of that more often than you know.
I know. You can go back
They're
there.
going to be like Napoleon Dynamite. He's like, no, don't try it.
Don't you just want to go back?
Let me ask you something, Napoleon. You know anything about time travel? Yeah, you know what I mean? I could throw that football over that mountain.
Yes.
But
Uncle Rico.
Yeah.
What did he throw at?
Like
A
Tupperware.
piece, no, it was a ham.
Roast beef sandwich.
It was like a piece of ham.
Salisbury steak, maybe, or something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah. That's a great movie, too. Yeah. I mean, definitely.
Time travel. So yeah, for many movies, everybody wants to go back or forward in
Go
time.
back in time, yep. But anyway,
That was fun.
yeah, it was definitely
Thanks.
a good one. We appreciate Zap once again.
Thank you,
hanging
Zap,
out in the
for
basement.
coming.
Oh no, fellas!
Hanging.
I appreciate you. Thank you. No,
No.
this is
We're
fantastic.
definitely going to do it again. I had a good time. I hope Zap did. I know Matt did. I hope.
It's like I do this every week.
Yeah.
Life changing.
Yes. But
I still enjoy it. Yes, thank you.
No doubt. So don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram at Old Dirty Basement, TikTok at Old Dirty Basement Podcast. If you're listening on Apple, leave us a written review. It really helps us out. Hopefully a good one. Don't
5
bash
stars.
us. Yeah, 5-star. Spotify, Google, Stitcher, however you're listening. We really appreciate it. Give us some feedback. Find our poll on Facebook on the Old Dirty Basement Podcast. We have a movie poll, so you can add movies to it, vote on it, and that's how we kind of select what we're going to
Yeah, we like hearing from you. Which ones you want us to review or look at, or
It definitely helps us out.
anything old and fun.
Yep.
We enjoy.
So at any rate, I guess that's it for now. I think Gremlins maybe next week or Vacation, Chevy Chase. That might have been up there. There's a couple that are kind of neck and neck, so we'll see. And I guess that's it for now. So we'll catch you where?
On the flip side.
Later.
Peace. Thanks for listening to The Vintage Cinema Review in the Old Dirty Basement. If you dig our theme music like we do, check out the Tsunami Experiment. Find them on Facebook. Their music is streaming on Spotify and Apple, and where great music is available.
You can find us at Old Dirty Basement on Facebook and Instagram, and at Old Dirty Basement Podcast on TikTok.
Peace.
We Audi 5000.